Okay, going live in 2, 1. All right. So, welcome back to the Canyon 360 Labs Triathlon Talk Show. I'm your host, Jeremiah Bishop, and this is a very exciting show that we have this week because we have the launch of the new, much-awaited disc version of the Speedmax. And on our show today, we've got the engineer, the mastermind behind the Speedmax, Wolfgang Kohl. And then we also have two-time world champion and Ironman champion, Patrick Lange. How are you guys doing today?
Yeah, I'm good. I think Wolfie had a lot of talking to do in the last days.
Yeah. Patrick, can you move your camera a little to the left so we can see you?
Pardon?
We need to get you in the frame a little bit. Yeah, I think we have moved a bit. So it's a very narrow frame. So scoot in front of the bike for now. Patrick, scoot in front of the bike a little bit to your left, please.
Okay.
A little more. A little more. There we go. Yeah, we got plenty of great pictures of the bike to share. I think it's a fantastic launch this week. The bike, I mean, is finally here. There's so much to talk about. I think we've got a great video on the Global Triathlon Network, and it highlights a lot of the amazing engineering behind the bike. And it really is obvious it's not an incremental improvement, this bike. I think this is, for a consumer bike, a monumental leap in technology, in form, in function, ergonomics. So I think it's really fun because I've seen some of the behind the scenes pictures, and this is really a show where we're talking about some of the development, some of the conceptualization behind products. Canyon's well known for integrating the athletes into the process. So Wolfie, how does it feel just to see this project come to life, first of all?
Yeah, seeing this project come to life is more or less the end of a 3-year journey for us now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is an emotional time for us. Recently I compared it with going to a shop and buying a puzzle with a lot of pieces which you already know. It takes you 3 years everyday work. And if you work every day very hard, after 3 years, you know it. And at the nice thing on this comparison with the puzzle is you see the picture already when you buy it. But then there is a lot of work behind it until you put the last piece in and you see it on your table or on your wall. And this is what we achieved this week with the launch we made.
So Patrick, I know this has been years of work, and we had talked a little bit on our pre-call about the ergonomics of the handlebar. How does it feel to see this bike in real life and to really just to touch it?
Yeah, it's amazing, and especially for an athlete seeing this bike actually from scratch, because developing from scratch is really unique, and it shows how close the relationship between Canyon and their athletes is. So, for example, I'm as an athlete, we're so close. Even, for example, with Wolfie, I remember times when he called me and we were talking about the integrated drinking system, and he was so, like, from time to time, actually really. I don't say nervous about it, but he is so passionate about it, and he really wanted to try, and he always asked the athlete, what do you think? You think it's possible? You have any ideas? So we are totally close in the process, and that's I think that's really unique, and that's a point, I think, where Canyon is so strong, and the rider can feel it on the bikes.
Yeah, I think it's an amazing feeling. So Wolfgang, serious question here. How do you celebrate? Champagne, Jägermeister, or beer?
Yeah, we did go for the beer version this time. I think it fits best to us.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And
No,
Patrick,
after the launch, I visited an old friend and colleague in Koblenz.
uh-huh.
We had a barbecue and a nice
Nice.
beer, and that's everything you need to be happy then.
Yeah, it's years of work. Speaking of fun, I have this picture of you pointing at Patrick's helmet. I can tell you're at the track, you're doing field testing, you're working and doing run after run, but you're having fun, enjoying the process, enjoying the work, making this incremental gains and proofing the concept, but all the time, having a good time and getting excited about the performance and getting really engaged on how do we make this incredible product even better. And so I think it's so fun to see that and fun to see the sort of process behind it. And when we talk about just integrating athletes into product development, do you do any surveys or do you do any data collection of that sort, Wolfgang?
What do you mean with data collection?
Well, I know you do a lot of data collection, but I meant in the surveys. So I worked with a little bit with Julian Beifang with the old, not old, but the new version of the Exceed, and then we worked on a little bit with the Topi Gergon team on the Lux prototypes. And so we had this questionnaire we're filling out, what would you change? How would you do this? Or is it more like verbal?
Yes, from time to time we make a little letter with some questions for the pros. We ask them to measure themselves, especially for the new cockpit.
Yeah.
This time we said, measure your arm. I made a mark somewhere here. And then I said, everybody has got to measure to here. And then you have to measure your extension length.
Yeah.
Because, the feedback from our pros is pretty important. Like Patrick said, with the size of the bladder, I said, Patrick, I think we can achieve maybe around 600 grams. So I know it from my 600 grams or milliliters.
Yeah.
I know it from my experience, but we can try something. And if I do a test, right, I only have my opinion. So I want to talk with people I know very good about their opinion and comparing everything. And of course, our most important, let's say, customers are the pro athletes, and we want to do everything right for them. And even if we have some questions, let's say, about the length of our new mono extension system, we use the pros as people we know very good, and we know how adjustable their cockpit is and what they actually made out of their cockpit and compared it with their body measures. And then we said, okay, I think we can do the same for the customers, because we found out that there is a relation between the length of your arm and the length of the extension from the end of the pad to the shifter stand.
Yeah, there's a lot of details for sure. And I think what was interesting is in reading the press kit, the maximizing the system integration. I think that's a beautiful thing about this bike, is the bladder being part of the bike, integral to it. You can refill the bottle, can refill the bladder too. I mean, whose idea was that? That's brilliant.
Yeah, my idea.
He's so humble. And then also, I think the Toolbox too is a fantastic solution. It takes and removes the seams between these remote boxes and also reduces the surface area significantly. This mono pillar for the aero bars, the integration of the top tube, and the treatment of the toolbox, that's reducing surface area as well, right, Wolfgang?
Yeah, that's correct. Good example is also the bento box. We had a larger bento box before, and most of the aftermarket stuff is pretty big.
Yeah,
Then if you ask Patrick or I saw, okay, most of the pros, including Patrick, they don't have too much in their bento boxes. So we said, okay, we are able to integrate this to the top tube.
Mm-hmm.
We might lose a little bit of volume, but there's absolutely no reason for the customers to transport 20 gels with them, because they can act like Patrick and our other pros and use a gel bottle in their frame triangle, and then they have everything they need with them. And we don't have to build a super huge bento box, because we want our customers to also learn a little bit from the pros like Patrick.
Yeah, Patrick, and so typically you have a small amount of gel with you, and so he was explaining how much are you bringing for Ironman distance?
So for the Ironman distance, I totally I use every milliliter on the bike I can get. So it's the fully filled bladder with a 700 milliliters of gel mixture, and I have a spare gel bottle in case I cannot reach the special needs, because my nutrition plan is actually go with the gels in the bladder until the special needs station, grab the special needs, refill the bladder. But it may happen that I can't grab the special needs, so I have the bottle in the triangle. Actually, there's a spare gel. And then on the back behind the saddle, I have the 750 milliliters, which I regularly exchange on the aid stations. And normally it's a routine of water, Coke, Gatorade, and it's alternating.
Excellent. Yeah, these are real life situations, and I think when we, look at the development of the bikes, it's sometimes different than what the beautiful drawing starts as, and I think it's a fascinating process. So let me see. I kind of switched your positions here. That's okay. So now you're in the middle, Patrick. Patrick, can you scoot a little bit to your left so we can get you in the frame? It's somewhat narrow with all three of us on the frame, but yeah, it's really interesting to see that that toolbox. So I think the toolbox is also brilliant. I'm showing the picture of the toolbox with the CO2s, and it's a very clean, so well engineered. Tell us a little bit, Wolfgang, about this toolbox and this solution.
Yeah. We put the concept together at the beginning of the project. Of course, this takes about 6 months in a strong collaboration between the design team of Artifact, Canyon, and Swisside, our aerodynamic partner. And then we said, okay, we have this brake penalty, 600 grams. Swisside asked us to do frames, tube shapes with a certain length to create good working profiles. And we wanted to stay at about the same weight of the bike. And then it was clear, okay, if we want to do that, we have to gain or we have to get out a little bit of weight from the storage and hydration. Our old bento box and the bottle itself weighed about 520 grams or something. And then I said, okay, that's a good point where we can save something if we achieve it to integrate it to the carbon structure. And then we do some FEM analyze at the same time. So this is where I try to find out if we do the toolbox somewhere on the front triangle, where's the best place for it. So I did do some structure analyze. That's not very hard to do in FEM. And we found out, okay, that's the best surface distribution we can get. And it's the best point to store some heavy stuff if it comes to riding dynamics then. Yeah.
It's a very good point. When you talk about riding dynamics, that takes me to my next point, is you're looking at a bike that is faster. It's faster than the bike has ever been before. And when you look at control, which is another item that I saw well listed on the sort of bullet points, is obviously fit and comfort are super important, but you're going faster than ever before. And this is my first time this fall on a Speedmax, and I can put out some good push, but the bike is going 50k an hour, and you're in the aero bars, like flying down a road. I'm like, if you hit something going this fast, it's a big problem. So control in the crosswinds. I know Kona is a very windy place. How does this bike, Patrick, compare in the ride feeling and in the control department?
I think that was one of the biggest challenges for the engineers, to have the frame shape, also working in the crosswinds, and that special sailing effect. Yeah. I think the engineers around Wolfie and Swiss side, they did a great job to make it even more stable in the heavy crosswinds, especially in Kona. Yeah. So obviously I did not ride it on the Queen K highway, so I have to wait a little bit for that. Yeah. I totally trust in Wolfie and his team that the data at least that show that that the sailing effect actually benefits the bike and the profile. Yeah. Look a little bit bigger than on the old bike, but should be handling much better in the crosswinds.
Yeah, you don't have as much height to the profile as well. So in the wind tunnel, I'm showing a picture of you in the wind tunnel, Patrick, and it's got the sensor on the front, the probe on the front that looks like an aircraft probe. And tell us about this, the time in the wind tunnel and the validation of the product in the wind tunnel.
Actually, we spend a lot of time in wind tunnel, so you have to do it. I think it's top of the high end measurement tool, and obviously we got there with the first prototype, and also we did a lot of testing with the position, because obviously the more air you can sit on the bike, the biggest benefit you get. And that's what this bike's all about. It's all about integrating the athletes on the bike, and I think they did a great job. Canyon did a great job of totally get you into that ultimate aero position, spot on, and you still are able to sit super stable and super aero, even for the 180k bike ride. And I think that's key for an Ironman to maintain the position, comfortable, aero, and fast for the whole ride.
Fantastic observation. I feel like I know a little bit of what you're talking about. Getting on the Speedmax, we had the DIY try just a few weeks ago. I can pedal upright, but being in the position, I needed to take breaks. I needed to kind of come up. I needed to just let my neck breathe. And for you guys, you have so much training for that position. To be comfortable is to be fast. It's to be resilient. It's to have the legs once you get off the bike. And I think it's such a magical part of this bike is that it's not sacrificing. Some bikes you sacrifice one for the other. It's like this compromise. But this bike, you look so comfortable in the position. The bike is well thought out. I'm going to show a couple pictures of the cockpit right now. And the cockpit, I think, is ingenious because when you look at the aero cockpit, it has this vertical mast. And this mast allows this up-down adjustment. But then you also have this monopole, which is going out toward the hand grips and has this fore-aft adjustability. Wolfie, can you tell us about this collaboration with Ergon? Well, actually, first, let's talk about the origin of this idea and the 2018 solutions that Patrick was riding.
You mean the project we made with Patrick for Kona 2018?
Yeah. 2018, you did a special project and explored and learned about some of these ideas you've integrated.
Yeah, Project 101 together with Swisside and us for
Mm-hmm.
Patrick. Special developed aero bars for him.
Mm-hmm.
And the original thought about it was to save a little bit aerodynamics. And what came out was that we saved aerodynamics, we enlarged the comfort, and we improved the handling of the bike at the same time. So Patrick, you can explain it a little bit more, that how the feel was when we put on those extensions the first time for you. I think the feedback was great for us then.
Yeah, that's totally true. So what I felt as a rider when I first got on the road with that aero bars that are like attached to the forearm was that I actually I am controlling the bike and holding the position with my forearm, so I have a lot more space to put on weight into. And I think it's a great a great thing for every customer out there that Canyon is now providing actually a version of that special cockpit I was riding in 2018 and Jan was riding in 2019 to the open market, and you will feel it. So you have much more control, you have much more stability because you're putting so much more weight on the forearm into the cockpit. So you're actually not having just two contact points on the pad on the extension end on the shifter. So you have much more surface area to put your weight on.
I like this trickle down. This is Formula One style trickle down of this performance to the consumer products. And I think with this cockpit for the production bikes is fascinating. I'm going to show a picture of the profile of the cockpit and how the hands actually have this tilt adjustment, 6 to 9 degrees tilt. Is that correct, Wolfie?
That's an old version you have. It's actually, it should be 0 to 60.
Oh, okay.
Oh, but no problem.
Even better. Even better.
Yeah.
I'm already out of date. And then the width is also 35 mil hand width position? 35
to 45 mil distance between the two touching points at the end of the shifters.
Excellent.
And that's one thing which was important for us when we developed the cockpit. We wanted to be adjustable for every single parameter, individual from each other. So we said we need a lot of height. So we are going from 0 to 110 millimeter in the height for the arm pad. That's, I think, that's a lot, and I don't think that somebody else can do it.
Yeah.
And then we wanted to adjust the length individual from that parameter. And then when you think about normal extensions and you want to go a little bit more narrow or a little bit wider with your hands, you at the same time you adjust other parameters, and that's not good. And if you want to adjust the angle of your hands, like going like this or like this, you have to buy completely new extensions.
Yeah.
And then you spend another 2 or 3 hours by trying to get the cables out, open 1,000 screws, and then put the new extensions inside, just to realize that it doesn't fit perfect again.
Yeah. See, I see the customer side, when we're in the field with a demo event or something like that. I mean, this solution is brilliant. That is 10-second adjustment. I mean, it's a really very nice way to adjust. And I think even with courses, you might even have a course with more climbing and you maybe cut it a little shorter and just a little bit more of a strong climbing position. So it's really neat. It's really a sleek, well thought out solution that is actually going to work with a customer. So when we look at this process of developing bikes, you can develop this vaporware F1 bike that you can crash only once, but then you need to develop something that's durable, that meets the expectations of the customer, that has sort of all the pictures represented. And doing this, it takes a big team. So how many people were on the team for this project, Wolfgang?
I didn't count them all, but we counted that we have 11 partners included.
Wow.
11 partner companies. Yeah.
That's incredible.
A lot. And
tell us about the Swiss side collaboration. I see the pictures, but I don't know what how much of a connection there is.
Yeah, I mean, at the first half of the project, I see those guys more than my wife sometimes. So it's really close, and we collaborated with Swisside because we did know them as a very, very good, and they did do good wheels for a good price, first of all. And then we saw, okay, they try to sponsor more and more pro athletes. So Patrick also came to us already, I think, with a Swiss side deal, or we managed this to get together a good bike for Patrick. And then we talked to them, and then they said, actually, we can do all of this stuff you can see, but what we're very good in is CFD analyze. And we did do CFD analyze before in-house, but what they are doing is, honestly, it's a different level. So they have perfect hardware. They have very, very much experience. They have a protocol set up. First time I saw that is, wow, that's really great. And that's how they bring us to the next level in case of aerodynamics. And before you said ergonomics with Ergon, it's the same thing. I feel pretty bad if I come to their office and they start talking about materials, textures, ergonomics overall. So I said, okay, it's good that we have you, because we as a bicycle and carbon specialists, we are not able to get so deep inside in these little details. And that's why we have the partners like Hydropack for the hydration, the same thing, or Artifact for the design.
Yeah, I'm showing a neat picture of you guys all kneeling down close in to the Speedmax, really taking a look at the detail. And the durometer of the rubber on the grips, all these things matter when you're wet and you're coming out and you don't have gloves on. So it's an amazing attention to detail, and it's one in which is very obvious. This is a jump in performance. This is a fantastic achievement, and it's something that you should be very proud of, you and the rest of the team. I know it was a very big team that came together to work on this project. So we've got some great questions from the audience. So some of them are very funny. There's a lot of spectral love. It must be on the wrong show. But we've got some great comments just about the placing of the box. And Patrick is working on his mustache. Is a good comment. So is this a off-season mustache?
No, it's a Movember mustache. Like,
Awesome.
No, you should keep it, Patrick.
I like it.
You like it?
Yeah, I like it. We have to go to the wind tunnel to see, if it's helping. But,
What's your opinion? Right now, 2 times that I look like Freddie Mercury. So.
Oh, I love it.
Here's the face.
Oh man, it's great. There's some good questions. So. It's still 9 watts faster with the discs, Charles Troutman writes. That's impressive.
True.
And disc brakes are so good. I've been racing mountain bikes for so long, and I'm just scratching my head that there are no disc brakes on road bikes. And I promised you would see disc brakes on road bikes because the wet weather performance is so good. The modulation is really nice. It's when you get in trouble, that's when you notice the disc brakes. They're just very, very consistent. And I did have a question in regards to the disc brakes. And there's this, nice sort of picture of this flap that goes over the disc brake. Can you elaborate on that? It's like a fin.
Yeah. It's looking cool, right?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say it looks awesome, but I know you've got some special explanation.
No, it's just a cool fact.
Yeah.
No, this is something you do in theory. So if you have the opportunity to get the wind around some scratchy surface, then you should try to do that.
Yeah.
But the advantage of this little feature is only, I don't know, maybe 0.2, 0.3 or something. But you have to count those little numbers to get 9 at the end.
Oh, they always add up. That's how it works. It's a cumulative of all these things. And the integrated bottle you said was 700 or 650 milliliters? The integrated bladder?
We have one from 550 to 600 for extra small and small, and then we have 700 milliliters from M up.
And so is there any difference in the sizing between these two bikes? I had a question about the Speedmax CF SLX and then the CFR. Will they have different arm pad lengths that are available, or are they pretty much the same?
Exactly the same.
Okay.
Same mold, different layer.
And let's see, what do we have here? A couple other good questions. There's so many questions on here. So Ricardo asks to Patrick, Ironman distance at Kona, which is different. How is that one different with the weather conditions?
Well, yeah, I mean, totally different. Of course, you have the heat and the humidity and the wind and the open water, the ocean swim. So I mean, I can fill a whole evening with Kona stories right now, but I just can tell you that Ironman Kona is a completely different ballgame than all the other Ironmans out there. So it's definitely worth the World Championship.
And
place of our sport.
Yeah, it's very humid, very windy, just like all these crazy variables. And the terrain, there's no shade. It's a very bleak and difficult terrain. I can see why it's legendary, because I'm sure it cracks some people. We have a great question from Gerald. Are there any changes in the position of the tri bottle holder? Said that his previous model had to be set about 5 millimeters too low for that, for a smaller frame. So I don't know if that, of course, it's a thing to think about.
Patrick, do you have your prototype already on the bike?
Which
the real bottle holder, I think he means.
No.
Yeah. No, we know that it was a little bit difficult for some customers, but we are working on a better position. The top tube of the new bike got slightly higher, so we got a little problems for some athletes to get it down. And what you see on Patrick, that we shaped it a little bit new. And this gives us about 20 millimeters more.
Yeah, I'm gonna make you wide. So we've got you full width now, Patrick. We can see the whole room and your dirty laundry on the side. No, that's fantastic. So that's a new.
It's the same part. Just the shape is a little bit different.
Oh, beautiful.
This will come about in the second model year or something.
Oh, excellent.
It might take us a little bit of time to get that right, but it will be improved in the future.
Awesome. Well, you saw it here first. So that's really cool. And then what about let's see, any more questions? This is plenty of good questions we could dig in here. Gerald says thanks, Wolfie, for that one. And so I think when we look at this bike, we see so many things coming together. What was the toughest thing, Wolfie, to actually pull off with this project?
I think the toughest point for me personally was directly at the beginning to say okay to a new design, because the old bike was so successful and we internally really loved it. And I had such a good experience with that. So it was very good that we had some design guys with us who said, okay, we have to change radically. And then that was the hardest point for me, to say, okay, no, we don't only do little changes or improve here a little bit or there a little bit. We said, okay, if we do a new bike, we try to improve it everywhere, and then we do a completely new design. That was for me, I think, the hardest point. But once we overcome that one, it was running.
Yeah, it's incredible. The rear stays. So I found one picture that really shows how the rear stays almost have a hydrofoil look. They're coming apart from the rear wheel and giving space for the air. Can you tell us about that, a little bit about it anyway?
Yeah, I mean, aerodynamically it makes sense to give the wheel a little bit more space to get the air in a good direction to the wind and not disturb the air for the rear and front wheel too much to hit the wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic detail. That one's tough to see in some of the photos, but this photo really shows it. It's incredible element that combined with the other pieces make a just amazing bike. So was there anything that you guys wanted to add to the presentation as far as things you wanted to talk about or fun things or fun stories from development of this bike?
I think we already had a lot. Patrick,
Yeah.
do you know something?
So how many times were you at the wind tunnel with this thing? I mean, I know there was a ton of time in the wind tunnel.
Well, we go to the wind tunnel with every pro athlete about two times per year, maybe, depending on if we are doing a new bike or not, or if there is important race ahead. Or
and the CFD, I guess, takes some of the wind tunnel time out, I guess, right?
Yeah,
that's excellent.
Exactly.
And I think
and also Riverside created this leg thingy.
Yeah, the legs. What was it? Does it have a name to the legs?
This is Ferdy.
Ferdy. It's awesome.
Because it was an internship who created it at Canyon. So he made a half-a-year internship. I think it was for his master degree, and he completely designed it. It was a very nice guy, very silent. And then we said, hey, I think we need a leg dummy. Maybe you can start it and see how far you come. And his name was Ferdinand.
Oh.
And then he started, and he just was so straight and so focused that he just made poof, 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 poof. And then, I mean, he took care that you can buy those data of a real feed. It's a real, like a human resource something data. You have to buy that, then you have a feed. Then he made all of the mechanic constructions out of it, gave him a feed, and then he constructed the mold out of it. He ordered carbon material, resin, and then finally he stood 2 or 3 days in the workshop and laminating everything together by himself. And at the end of his internship, it was done. And that's why we said he really made such a great work. We didn't expect that. And that's why we called him 30CF SLX.
That's awesome. That's what I was looking for, a fun story like that, because I know there's always some funny thing that happens kind of behind the scenes. Well, I think we're just about out of time for now, but the presentation of the Speedmax is incredible. It's pure art meets function, and I think when you're out there destroying seconds on the course, you can really have some excitement about it, and it's wonderful to have Patrick and Wolfie. Thank you so much for taking your time today to join the Canyon 360 Labs. It was really an honor to have you, and very excited, as the customers are, about this bike. Wishing you the best of luck as you prepare for 2021, and as you, Wolfie, prepare for your next projects. So, all right, over and out.
Bye.
All right, thanks for joining, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.